Hello everyone, welcome back to your final video lesson of this week. Let's get straight into it. Can you please copy down your title, your date, and your learning objective? Do not worry at this point if you are not sure what an epilogue is. It will become clear very, very soon. Pause the video and jot these 3 things down now, please. Okay. If you're back, that means that you are ready to complete your do now. Please make sure you're answering these 5 questions in full sentences. Pause the video and do that now, please. Okay, if you're back, that means that you are ready to make purple pen corrections. We looked at the soliloquy yesterday, and all of these answers were based on not yesterday's lesson. Was it yesterday? The lesson we read Act 5, Scene 1. I've lost track of time. But these are all based on that lesson. So pause the video now, check your do now, and make any corrections that you need to. Okay, so the epilogue is the final part of the play. It's at the end of the text. So we're going to understand what an epilogue is, we're going to read a summary of it, and then we're going to do some analysis of Prospero's epilogue today. So let's have a look at the summary of the epilogue. So after all the shenanigans with the other men and the spells and releasing them and forgiving them and everything that happened in Act 5, Scene 1, all the other characters exit and Prospero is left alone on stage to deliver the epilogue. He describes to the audience the loss of his magical powers, and he says that as he imprisoned Ariel and Caliban, the audience has now imprisoned him on the stage. He says that the only way that he will be released is if the audience applauds the play and asks them to remember that that his actions throughout the text was only to provide them with some entertainment and to please them. He says that as his listeners would like to have their own crimes forgiven, they should forgive him and set him free by clapping. So the epilogue is a section at the end of the text which comments on or concludes what has happened throughout, and a character speaks directly to the audience at this stage. In Prospero's epilogue, it seems that he's kind of mirroring the process that he went through with the people that he had imprisoned. He set them free, and now he wants the audience to set him free. Maybe it's kind of a moral message about forgiveness. Can you pause the video and can you get this definition of an epilogue down now, please? Okay. Now we understand a little bit about the epilogue, let's read it. When we're reading it, we're going to look at some key questions. So, to make sure that you're prepared to answer those questions, can you copy this table into your book, please? You need a table with one side that says admire and one side that says disapprove. Make sure that you leave, I would probably say, about 5 lines to write some ideas in. Pause the video and copy this table into your books now, please. Okay, so let's read the epilogue. And as we read, I want you to ask yourself these questions. Do you think Prospero is being genuine in the epilogue? Do you think Prospero deserves the forgiveness from the audience? Make sure you're considering these questions because they are going to help you fill in your table after we've read the prologue. So let's have a look. Now my charms are all overthrown, and what strength I have's mine own, which is most faint. He says that now my spells are finished, and the strength that I have left is just my own, which is most faint, quite weak. Now 'tis true I must be here confined by you or sent to Naples. He says that I'll either be kept in place on stage by you, or I will get to go back to Naples. He says, let me not, since I have my dukedom got, and pardoned the deceiver, dwell in this bare island by your spell. He begs them, he says, let me not, please, since I've got back my dukedom and I've pardoned the deceiver, the people who have betrayed me, do not let me stay on this bare, deserted island with your spells. He asks, but release me from my bands with the help of your good hands. He says, instead, use your hands to applaud and free me from this stage and let me return back to Naples. He continues by saying, gentle breath of yours, my sails must fill, or else my project fails, which was to please. Now I want spirits to enforce, art to enchant, and my ending is despair, unless I be relieved by prayer, which pierces so that it assaults mercy itself and frees all fault. He says, your kind cheers, your kindness will fill the sails of my ship. Their kindness will breathe on his ship, make his sails full, so he's able to travel. And he says, or else I have failed to reach my goal, which was to please you. He's saying, if you don't applaud me and let me go back to Naples, I haven't, as a character in the play, entertained you enough. He says, now I want spirits to enforce, arts to enchant, and my ending is despair. He's saying, I lack both spirits to command, to enforce, and also the ability to do magic. Remember, he refers to magic as art. He says, I'll end up in despair unless I be relieved by prayer. I will live in despair unless my request touches your compassion, which pierces so that it assaults mercy itself and frees all fault. Unless I make you feel compassion towards me and you forgive me for all of my faults, all of my errors throughout this production. He finally says, by as you from crimes would pardoned be, let you indulge, set me free. He's saying, just as you would be forgiven for your sins, be generous and clap and applaud in order to set me free. So it seems like here Shakespeare is trying to confirm his message to the audience about being forgiving and being compassionate even when people make mistakes. So just pause the video now and have a quick reflection in your own mind. Just think, do you think Prospero is being genuine? And do you think Prospero deserves forgiveness? Pause the video and reflect on those questions briefly. Okay, so you should have some initial ideas about whether you think Prospero is being genuine and deserves forgiveness. And this is going to form this table. You're going to complete this table now, and you're going to write a minimum of 3 reasons for each side of the table. On the admire side, you're going to write any reasons that you think that you admire Prospero for standing in front of the audience during his epilogue and asking for forgiveness. And then on this side, you're going to write a minimum of 3 reasons as to why you disapprove of Prospero asking for forgiveness in the epilogue. You might want to think about what Prospero has done throughout the text. Has he redeemed himself as a character? Has he changed throughout the text as a character? Has your perceptions of him changed? And therefore, as an audience, do we admire his plea for forgiveness in the epilogue, or do we disapprove of it? Pause the video now and write a minimum of 3 reasons for each side of the table. If you can think of more, please jot down more. Okay, if you're back, that means that you should have some reasons on either side as to why you approve or admire and disapprove and disagree with Prospero's plea for forgiveness in the epilogue. So you're now going to use those ideas in the table and these sentence starters below to write a summary of your view of Prospero in the epilogue. This is how it needs to look. So you're going to choose either you're going to choose which side you agree with. So if you admire Prospero's plea for forgiveness, you're going to choose admire. If you don't believe that Prospero deserves forgiveness, you're going to choose disapprove. Or Prospero in the epilogue because, and then you're going to use one of your reasons for your main point of view. Then you're going to embed a quote to support your point. It can be a quote from the epilogue or it can be a quote from any part of the text, as long as it supports your main belief. Then you're going to introduce the other side. However, it may be argued that. So, if you, at this point, at the beginning, you said that you admire Prospero, you're now going to talk about why some people would disapprove. If you wrote about disapproving of Prospero as your main point, you're now going to write about why some people might approve. And then again, you're going to use a quote to support your point, either from the epilogue or from any point of the text. The reason that we're doing both sides of the argument is because that's what's really important when you're analysing a text. You have to understand that other people have other opinions and you have to recognise those. So whether you agree or disagree, you're going to address both. And then at the end, you're going to clarify your point of view. So you're going to say, overall, I think Prospero does or does not deserve forgiveness because, and then you're going to give some really strong reasons as to why you think what you think. Pause the video before coming back and complete this summary task now, please. Okay, if you're back, that means you've written a summary which addresses both sides of the argument for Prospero in the epilogue, and you are ready to submit. Pause the screen now if you need a reminder of how to submit, and if not, I look forward to seeing your excellent work, and I will see you in the next lesson.